Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute or Library, the name of my channels on those two websites is Comic Freak. We're going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog again. And the first few articles we have here is Box Office Sonic the Hedgehog speeds to $3 million on Thursday night. But that's just this article, and we're just going to be looking at its header because there's been a windfall of profit for the new movie because Box Office Sonic the Hedgehog is racing to $55 million debut. Yeah. This article here pretty much covers everything the other article was going to cover, but it has a few more new details that have surfaced over the last few hours, so we're going to be looking at that. But what can I say is that Sonic the Hedgehog is racing to $55 million debut. It's pretty much KO'd Birds of Prey, and I can't thank you enough, everyone who went to see Sonic the Hedgehog and got this movie off the ground, and also to the creators who redesigned Sonic the Hedgehog. But let's get into this article. Sonic the Hedgehog is racing to a dominant $55 million opening at 3,150 North American locations during the 4-day President's Day weekend, in a launch that's above forecasts early estimates showed Friday. Universal's romantic drama, The Photograph, and Sony's Blumhouse's Fantasy Island are both performing in line with forecasts in the $12 million to $14 million for their launches. Searchlight's debut of Downhill, starring Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is ahead of expectations at about $7 million. Sonic the Hedgehog started with $3 million on Thursday night previews, matching that of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which opened last year with $55 million. Preview audiences gave Sonic the Hedgehog a 4 out of 5 post-track rating. Paramount's action-adventure based on the SEGA video game character had been pegged to dominate domestic moviegoing with $40 million to $45 million from 4,130 venues over the President's Day holiday weekend. The film, a live-action and CGI hybrid, follows the world's fastest hedgehog, teaming up with his new best friend, Tom, James Marsden, to defend the planet from the evil Dr. Robotnik. Jim Carrey reviews have been mostly positive, generating a 64% Rotten Tomatoes rating. Right off the bat, Sonic started well. Now it's looking at a $55 million opening. It started Thursday with $3 million, which was good, but now that it seems to be ballooning in popularity, there's no telling how much money this movie is going to make. Though the estimates were conservative, it looks like they are basically just honestly not right, because they should have opened up the estimates even wider, because Sonic the Hedgehog is looking to make a great amount of money this weekend, especially because it's on a holiday. It looks like everyone underestimated this movie, especially the producers of Birds of Prey, which they shouldn't have. But now that this is going to happen, we can only say that this is good. Maybe we'll get some more great movies as well as a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog in the future because of how much money this movie has made over its opening weekend. Sonic will have to resonate beyond its core demographic to recoup its $87 million price tag. The film also bows this weekend in 41 countries overseas, about 60% of its international footprint, which could help boost box office receipts. I think it's a given that Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be a popular and successful movie, so an $87 million price tag, that's not really all that bad. If you compare it to Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, that took $800 million to basically make and promote, if it's only $87 million for its price tag to make this movie and maybe another $50 million or so to promote, because they really didn't promote this movie all that much, and it basically rode the hype train of what it was, getting from word of mouth as well as people wanting to see the redesigned Sonic. It's going to make a buttload of money this weekend as well as going forward. So I have to say this movie is already in talks to have a sequel made for it. So this is all looking up for that movie. Warner Brothers' second weekend of Birds of Prey is heading for a second place with about $20 million, following its disappointing $33 million opening weekend. It should finish the holiday period with about $63 million in its first 11 days. I just really wanted to point that out, that Birds of Prey is, well, looking like it's going to keep going down. Other movies that are coming out are Fantasy Island and The Photograph, and, well, Fantasy Island being a horror version of the TV series from 1977 to 1984. I haven't really heard all that much about this movie. As well as The Photograph. If they're not going to bother to basically promote these movies, I won't even bother to really say more than just a mention in this video. Either way, Birds of Prey is looking like it's going to be one of the biggest downers of 2020. While Sonic the Hedgehog, a movie that basically no one believed in until they saw the redesigned Sonic, basically rode a hype train that is unbelievable to its debut. Now we come to another article. A good Sonic the Hedgehog movie, not so fast. Even an ingenious Jim Carrey supervillain can't make this adaptation of the SEGA classic fun. This is another in a long line of articles basically attacking a movie that the writer of the article really just doesn't like and pretty much hates, because Sonic the Hedgehog is better than Birds of Prey. So we're just going to have a quick look at this, and not at the entire article. Am I wrong, or was Sonic the Hedgehog always supposed to be a tiny bit of an asshole? Not an all-out POS, to be clear. As you can see, the language here, he's just going to attack Sonic the Hedgehog, but he does it in somewhat of a passive-aggressive manner. So we really won't spend too long on this article, but say that this guy is just another in a long line of douchebags. Mainly because this guy seems to come from a place that this movie is just basically against his politics, so there's no way it could possibly make as much money as it looks like it's going to be making. At least that's what it feels to me, because he makes a bunch of, well, lame jokes about how the record scratch when Sonic basically stops the movie and says, "You're probably asking me or wondering how I got into this situation, right?" Because in that point in the movie, because that's basically a common 90s trope doing that sort of thing. When the main character basically stops the movie and asks the audience what they're thinking about him right now and how he got into that kind of situation. Well, either way, he makes a bunch of lame-ass jokes that's basically just not all that good, and the movie's just another mediocre mess made with a bunch of lame jokes there from the turn of the century. But that is a blatant misconception. If you see how much money it's making now with its $55 million opening, as well as the Rotten Tomatoes scores it's getting, with, well, the critics score being 65 and the audience score being a 95%, you can see that Sonic the Hedgehog, and this is no pun intended, as I say this again if I already mentioned it, it has legs, and it's speeding to this finish line with an opening weekend that is surely going to be bigger than anyone could have possibly imagined for the furry blue hedgehog. I have to say, its 65 Rotten Tomatoes score from critics is, well, a nice change of breath. If they're not basically all praising it for being an agenda-driven movie, that is, which from what I'm hearing about Sonic the Hedgehog, it isn't, they're actually giving this movie a decent shake. And the 95% audience score? Well, what can I say? Sonic the Hedgehog is doing well and resonating well with the common moviegoer. Something the Margaret Robbie movie Birds of Prey was unable to do. It wasn't able to resonate with its fans. Now, if we take a look down at the C-score details and wait for it to pop up, it's still 65% for the critics, as well as a verified audience score of 95%. So all I can say is this movie is doing well. It's good to see a movie basically turn its nose up at its detractors for the fact that it's actually a good movie than the fact, like, say, Birds of Prey being praised for being a great movie, even though all it had was a bunch of agenda politics and a bunch of F-bombs shoved into a script that was basically made for a PG-13 movie, which it didn't need, and basically ruined the movie and pretty much made sure that no children could go and see it. Unlike Sonic the Hedgehog, that basically all the critics, or at least a good many of them, have hated on it, being proven once again that they're just wrong. Now if you hit the all audience button on this score here, you can see that it drops from 95% to 94%. So you can see the audience score in general just love this movie, which is quite surprising because this is coming from Rotten Tomatoes. Usually when they have a movie like this, they basically do something with the scoring system and basically try and, well, sabotage the movie, because Rotten Tomatoes over the last few years has just become a rotten site itself, and you can no longer trust the scoring there, really. But this is one of the rare times where I say you could trust it. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channels on YouTube and Library. They're both under the name Comic Freak. Then hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And if you could you also please share this video, share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it'll do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore. So please share this video. Now listen closely, it's plug-in time again. Keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.